Okay, and welcome everyone. My name is Tushar Patel. I work at the University of Lethbridge, whose indigenous name is Niskum, meaning sacred buffalo stone, as a professor and associate dean in the Faculty of Arts and Science. And I'm also a member of the Canadian Science Policy Program Committee. It is my great privilege to host Dr. Shannon Quinn today. Dr. Quinn is working at the National Research Council of Canada as Secretary General since September 2021 and involved in multiple portfolios, some of which we'll touch upon today in our brief conversation. Before joining NRC, Dr. Quinn was Vice President of Science, Technology, and Commercial Oversight at Atomic Energy of Canada Limited. Dr. Quinn holds a PhD in Chemical Engineering from Queen's University and an MBA from University of Ottawa. Thank you so much for your generous time today with us. And I have a couple of questions. We'll have a brief discussions, and we'll have fun with the interview.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So one of the first questions, and I think this is the question that every Canadian in a way has in their mind, with the government of Canada announcing increased defense spending to achieve the NATO goals that we had unfortunately not been able to meet over the last few years. And I know that NRC has been working very closely with Canadian firms, had a long history of working closely together. So would NRC be playing a strong role to help achieve those goals from the government of Canada?
Yeah, so we think actually that there's a role for the entire science ecosystem in this space. So when we think about defense needs and we look to our Department of National Defense and our CAF partners, we take our cues from them, of course, and we know that technology is going to be a big part. And to bring technologies from ideas into the commercial space and into real use, whether it's on the civilian side or the defense side, it takes a village. It takes an ecosystem. And so when we talk about that in science and when we think about that from an NRC perspective, it's really about working with universities, working with businesses, as you've already signaled, working with federal researchers and indeed policymakers within the federal system, and all working together to really have an impact. So part of what in kind of the NRC's ethos is in order to actually see the success of translating research into economic benefit, which is one of our overarching objectives, and in this case, defense benefits, you need really wraparound services. So you need money. You signaled some additional spending in this area, but you also need facilities at a national scale, and the NRC contributes some of that. You need expertise. That expertise resides, of course, in universities, also resides in national labs that we run. It exists in industry and so on. And so one of the roles that we play is to engage with the private sector and particularly small and medium-sized enterprises. It's also to do actual hands-on research in the labs. And it's to work with our partners in universities and across the sector to bring everybody together in a focused effort around reaching a really tangible outcome. And we think that in defense in particular, that's what's going to be needed. And so we see a role for ourselves. I don't know if some of the viewers would know, but the NRC, it was born in a defense context. So back in 1916, when the NRC was created, it was created, of course, in the context of World War I. And so at that time was really focused on application for defense. And over the course of the NRC's history, we've continued to engage with our defense partners, but also on the civilian side. And we've essentially always played a role in both. So I think we'll talk about dual use. But For us, it's about the relative shift of emphasis because we actually always have a foot in both camps. And so for us, it's actually just kind of the way that we work.
Yes.
It is our business. And so we expect, though, to be able to leverage those longstanding partnerships to be able to kind of rally the system and work together in a concerted way.
And so very collaborative approach. You mentioned academic institutions, national institutions, federal institutions. So this is going to be an exciting time for Canadian innovation ecosystem. And then you mentioned about the dual use technology. So that is the next question, actually nicely comes out as a nice segue. What role do Canada's research ecosystem and post-secondary institutions have in developing these dual-use technologies? And if you don't mind, maybe just tell our viewers in a very simple term what we talk about dual-use technology is.
Yeah, so dual-use technology is a very broad definition. Yeah. It's a technology that has real application on the civilian side, also on the defense side. And so I think we've already started to kind of jump into this question through the last answer. Yeah. So maybe what I'll do is I'll try to give some examples so that there's a more sort of tangible feel. Yeah. So one of the projects that we did at the National Research Council was with Phantom Photonics. It's looking at LiDAR. It's these advanced sensing technologies. They've got lots of Canadian applications. So applications in natural resource sector, kind of identifying where we might have, deposits of natural resources that we could develop on the economic side. It also has very real defense applications too, in terms of being able to identify objects even underwater, as an example. And so one of the great things that we see in the Canadian landscape right now is that there are a lot of these companies, both large and small, that have really exciting technologies that just need development, and they can find a market and they can find an application both on the defense and the important economic side. And so there's tremendous opportunity. One of the things that we're really focused on at the NRC is thinking about how do you scale these in a short time period, a time period that's kind of responsive to the moment. And one of the ways to do that is to use kind of the existing view of the ecosystem. So on our side, the NRC maintains relationships with more than 1,000 small and medium-sized enterprises. And some of them are already working in the defense space. Some of them are kind of working on the civilian side, but from kind of where we sit, we can see that there's tremendous opportunity for some pivots in that space. And so we do see that as our job, to be able to kind of look at that space and be able to kind of see where we already have as a country a certain foothold or the potential for a foothold in a technology, and to be able to really kind of say there's opportunity here if we just pivot over to the defense side, and that allows you to move with speed.
Yeah, quite a bit faster. So I do have a follow-up question on those 1,000 companies. I'm sure they're all Canadian companies, or do they have partners outside as well?
Well, they're all Canadian companies. Of course, we expect that they're trying to build their businesses, and often in a Canadian context, right? Because of the size of our market, where we want to see our Canadian businesses really grow and scale.
Makes sense.
Typically, you have to start looking at how you're going to build your business in international markets, sometimes through partnerships. And on the NRC side, actually, what we try to do is also create opportunities for those businesses to be able to find like-minded partners in some of those ecosystems where we're trying to really establish ourselves as partners of choice.
Very cool.
So maybe another example. So quantum is an area that
everyone is excited about.
That everybody is excited about. We're excited about at the NRC too. But we have been for quite a long time. So we have a number of programs in the quantum space. So I think sometimes people think about quantum computing. And of course it's exciting, and we've got programs specifically aimed at that. But Canada actually has real expertise, both in the NRC, but importantly out in the university ecosystem, as well as in the business ecosystem around quantum sensing. And we have a whole sort of program around that, and it's got really interesting applications, a little bit about what we already talked about on the defense and the civilian side. And in that particular program, we've seen some really good success around trying to pull together the best capabilities, the best expertise, the best facilities that we've got all across the ecosystem, bring them together in a single project, and really try to drive it forward with purpose. So in that program, we're seeing like 23 different universities and colleges engaged. We've already seen 4 spin-off businesses coming out of it, over 500 peer-reviewed academic papers.
Amazing,
So that's we would say it's already a success story, but the forward-looking opportunity is tremendous.
And so when you started, when NRC started working with quantum projects years and years ago, there was also partnership with the academic institutions as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we see in Canada is that, you know, we're a large nation geographically, but we're, you know, still relatively small when you look at the population and when you look at the size of our markets, both defense and civilian. And so for a country our size, to really have impact, you need to take the best of what you have, pull it together, and absolutely focus. And so, so we have to, we think, draw on the expertise and the facilities where it is, and certainly in the university domain, like it's true in many disciplines, it's true in many application areas, but certainly in quantum, well, you see we're engaged with 23, there's probably more out there, and then sort of pulling that together with some of the facilities that we have from a national lab perspective, making those available to the ecosystem, and bringing our businesses in at the earliest possible stage so that as the technology evolves, it finds its way as quickly as possible into the commercial market. So, we can't say enough about our academic partners and the opportunities I think that we have to work together. And actually, the CSPC is create some of those opportunities for the whole ecosystem to come together, including the policy side, to talk about how we organize ourselves in a way that we're going to get there quickly.
Yeah, no, thank you. So you covered one of my questions that I was going to ask you, but what I'm hearing is NRC has really this collaborative model that draws on the expertise from every sector and helps every other sector out there. So that is great to hear. And then maybe I will take one more question because you answered the other question already. What else is NRC working on, and what could you share of the upcoming projects and anything that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, we have exciting projects really all around the priorities of Canadians right now, because we do respond to the interests of Canadians, because of course we're a federal institution. So we've already talked about defense, but I would want to mention housing too is of course a priority. And in the NRC, we have a construction research center that has long-standing expertise in all aspects of construction, and right now they're really focused on housing and some of the things that we can do to accelerate the housing starts. So we're doing projects, as an example, in partnership with the industry to demonstrate modular housing as one way to accelerate the housing stock that we see here in Canada. But then there's lots of exciting areas. Biomanufacturing is one. Kind of the health of Canadians, of course, is always a priority. And we have some national scale facilities at the NRC. We have a clinical trials material facility that produces biologics on a scale that you would need to do clinical trials. We also own a facility, the Biologics Manufacturing Center, that does sort of small commercial scale production of biologics to be responsive to the needs of the day. And so we're working with partners, again, across the ecosystem to try to really leverage the value of those facilities to bring forward products that the market needs and that Canadians need.
Wow, thank you so much. And I really want to thank you and NRC colleagues for looking after Canadians from every different angle, be it defense and housing and quantum. So also thank you personally for your time today. This is great.
Thank you. And maybe I can tell you a little story.
Yes.
So when I was here yesterday, I ran into one of my collaborators from Italy who's here as an invited guest. And he really made the point of talking about how wonderful he thought this particular event was, because he says that he hasn't seen a similar thing in his country at this scale. And what he talked about was the two-way dialogue that was happening. So it really is a conversation where science can inform policy, policy can inform science, and back and forth. And so sometimes it takes someone coming in with fresh eyes to remind us of what we really have. So thank you to CSPC and for bringing the whole ecosystem together.
Thank you, much appreciated.